So tonight we are going to begin with a reading from 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 4. Then he went on alone into the wilderness, traveling all day. He sat down under a solitary broom tree and prayed that he might die. I have had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors who have already died. What were we just talking about, right? How many of us have been here? We're tired, discouraged, frustrated, and we're just ready to give up. We did what we thought we were supposed to, but the extravagant change and demonstration of power that we expected just did not manifest. We get an attitude as we believe that though we acted in obedience to God, things just did not play out as we believe they should. We fall prey to the idea that only the famous, only the loud, only the powerful can change the world. This is simply not true. For when that small whisper breaks through the static of the world, the results are more revolutionary than we could possibly fathom. Tonight I'd like to discuss a very small, very trivial, probably overlooked character in Zelda Breath of the Wild. And her name is Pearl. Recognize her? Probably not. Well, she's a young child in the Gerudo village, and let me tell you, this little kid has heart. She's young, but she's already beginning to master a concept that many adults still can't figure out, and that is the arduous task of keeping ourselves in check. See, she just so happens to live next to what she calls the Can't Enter, also known as the Noble Canteen. And this is just as it sounds, a bar for the Gerudo ladies, and in this place they seek to satisfy their flesh and pass out on bars or catch up on the latest gossip. They get loud and boisterous as they laugh and yell, but someone decided it was a marvelous place to build someone's home directly adjacent to. So here enters Pearl. She tells us that every night she can't sleep because of how rowdy they are next door. But through experiencing this foolishness, she sees that there is value in something greater. She says she is going to speak softly, even when she's having a great time. Good for her. Now, why does this matter? Why am I making a big deal of this? The kid's just not going to have the volume turned up to 11. Who cares? Well, let's look at ourselves. How many of us lose control daily? Plans failed, events took place that weren't supposed to, and we lose our tempers, our sanity, our patience, our glasses. And with each one of these commonly losable acts, my hand just keeps going higher and higher. We make a big show and get loud as our fury or sadness just comes pouring out, sweeping away whoever so happens to be in the path of our storm. We let the destructive reactions handle our emotional instability rather than work on practicing discipline that allows us to keep these mood swings in check. We feed the flesh so that it may thrive rather than follow the spirit so that it may lead. But we think these loud, obnoxious actions are justifiable. I did what I was supposed to. I work harder than them. I shouldn't have to deal with this. I wanted things to be different. You know what the problem with each one of these statements is? They are all about what you did and what you wanted. When things fall apart, we have to ask, was this the door God was opening? Or was it the one I was trying to force my way through? In our opening passage, Elijah is having a bad day. He's having a really difficult time making friends, being, a prophet of the Lord and what have you. And after God gave him victory, in an amazingly loud and booming way, I might add, over the prophets of Baal, Ahab's wife, Jezebel, writes him a lovely letter telling him that she is going to murder him, and that this is going to be the top priority on her list of things to do. And Elijah, keep in mind he just had an amazing victory, he becomes fearful for his life and runs away. Things didn't play out the way he thought they would, and when trouble comes up, he forgets that none of what he had done was anything other than acting in obedience. The rain was stopped by God, and the altar was set ablaze by God. He acted in faith, and it's through his faith God was able to use him for these glorious things. But none of this could be done on his own. And when his life gets threatened, he throws all that God has blessed him with out the window and runs away saying, things were supposed to be different. I was supposed to make a change with all this cool stuff that took place. I'm no better than any of those that came and did other miraculous blessings that you used them for just in my life. Bottom line, it's a tantrum. And we're all guilty of them. We think because God is pouring out blessing after blessing on our lives that we should be able to skip over the pitfalls. And pitfalls are going to be different for all of us. But sometimes we have to walk into them so that we don't forget where all that we have came from. Hebrews chapter 13 verses 5 through 6. Don't love money, be satisfied with what you have. For God has said, I will never fail you, I will never abandon you. So we can say with confidence, the Lord is my helper, so I will have no fear. What can mere people do to me? After this, God tells Elijah to get up and eat to prep for his journey to Mount Sinai. And when Elijah reaches his destination, God asks him a question. In 1 Kings 19, 9 through 10, he says, there he came to a cave where he spent the night. What are you doing here, Elijah? Elijah replied, I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. Things are falling apart. That is evident. But the old ways, the old routines, sometimes they have to be shaken vigorously in order for the new to be built from the broken pieces. Then this happens in 1 Kings 19, 11 through 15. Go out and stand before me on the mountain, the Lord told him. And as Elijah stood there, the Lord passed by, and a mighty windstorm hit the mountain. It was such a terrible blast that the rocks were torn loose. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake there was fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire there was the sound of a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And a voice said, what are you doing here, Elijah? He replied again, I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. Then the Lord told him, go back the same way you came, and travel to the wilderness of Damascus. When you arrive there, anoint Hazael to be king of Aram, then anoint Jehu, grandson of Nimshi, to be the king of Israel, and anoint Elisha, son of Shaphat, from the town of Emblem, I butchered that one, to replace you as my prophet. Anyone who escapes from Hazael will be killed by Jehu, and those who escape Jehu will be killed by Elisha. God wasn't in the calamity and the destruction that we often look for him to show up in. But he was the one who brought to Elijah the peace when the storm was upon him. That still small voice that speaks louder than we ever could. And with this peace that fell over the destruction, God also blessed Elijah with someone to take his place, because he soon would be joining the Lord. But that's a story for another time, but it's a really good one. Either way, we must adopt a childlike whimsy for our outlook on life. Yes, today we might not be getting any sleep because of the rambunctious guards in the bar next to our house. It may be driving us crazy and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But in it is a lesson and an opportunity to put off the old and bring in the new, to put aside these loud demonstrations that are quickly forgotten, and to keep the meekness that can propagate and bring change. Guys, I don't know what troubles you face right now. I don't know if it's a situation where you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, or if it's one of those weird ones where somehow your fishbowl caught fire. Regardless, know that we serve an awesome God. We cannot allow ourselves to be deceived by a world that says it's okay to throw tantrums and get angry when things are not as we like them, when things are not going the way we think they should. We need to take that time to go into solitude and listen for that still small voice, the calm that rests in the chaos. But to do this, we must make the choice to discipline ourselves, whether it be denying ourselves an hour of video games or removing ourselves from an activity that brings out the worst in us. Each day is a new day, and as we draw breath in this wild world, see what I did there? God is working within you, refining you, and bringing you through the pressure so that you can carry out the work that He has for you to do. Never give up. So, world quest for this week. What's your trial? Break out your pen and paper, or if you're techie, your tablet or something with an LED screen, and write down what your present trial is. Let me say that again. Write down what your present trial is. Take notes of the event that led to it. So that means the things that happened before it started, and what has happened during it, both good and bad. So we got before, we got after, and we got during. What is God prepping you for with this? How has this event brought a change in your life? And is it one where you grew closer to the Father, or one where you distanced yourself? We have to follow His leading and not be persuaded by the way the world's, or by what the world says to do. It's a difficult task, but you all are capable of completing it and learning from it. So good luck, guys, and I love you.